Hey everyone, it is George Couros. Welcome back to another episode of the Innovators Mindset podcast. And if you are listening to this the day it has been released, it is my birthday. I am a young 51 years old. I'm really excited for my birthday. And it was like interesting last year as I was coming up to my birthday and right after, I have never felt so motivated in my life. I don't know if it's just like, hey, I don't want people to think I'm 50. I don't know what it is. I just was really pushing myself. And interestingly enough, this year, I kind of feel like I'm on a little bit of a downward spiral. Maybe age is catching up with me, but there's a little, it's weird. I don't know if I want to say lack of enthusiasm, but it's just the ebbs and flows of life. And it's not like anything bad has happened to me. Maybe I'm just a little bit worn down, a little exhausted. But here's the thing that I want to share with you. I think that is really important as I'm going to share a lesson with you that I've really picked up this year and some lessons that I posted last year. But the thing is that as I get older, I am way less concerned about some of the downward spirals that I have in my life. And I'm way less excited about some of the upward trajectories in my life because I know they're all temporary. And it's actually one of the things I talked about last year in my email where I talked about 50 lessons that I've learned in my life. And I just think about that in the sense that it's all temporary. All of it is temporary. And so the beautiful thing is I've had a lot of down moments in my life, as have you, as has anyone that you know. And what has always happened is I've always figured a way out of it. And when I figured a way out of it, I always screwed up later too. And then we hit the downward spiral. And sometimes it's just our mood. Sometimes it's just, things that are going on in our life that feel really overwhelming. So wherever you are in your life, you might be on the up, you might be on the down. Just know it's temporary. And if it is temporary, know that you've got yourself out of it and you'll probably hit it again. And then you'll figure a way out again. And that's what I'm holding on to. I don't think I'm like depressed or having I'm on a little down, but that's okay. This is one of the reasons I record this blog post to show you the human side of life. And so I'm recording this in March, probably about a month before my birthday. And I looked back at I wrote 50 lessons last year, and I'm going to reshare this on my blog because it is, it's something that really is meaningful to me. And I looked at it and really I wrote stuff last year that I want to kind of carry on. And it's a little bit of a diary to my kids. So because I'm 51, I added one more and I'll talk about that. But I just want to talk about like 3 of the lessons before I get into the new one that I shared last year. And it's kind of interesting because April 2025 is when I turned 50. July of 2025 is when I got the idea for Forward Together. And I've talked about this before. When you write to share your learning, you kind of learn to find your voice. Forward Together did not exist in my mind as a solid concept until July 2025. But as I was like reading some of the stuff that I shared last year, it was obviously somewhere in me and it just needed a push to get out. Maybe that sounds gross, but whatever. Anyway, so this is here's a few of the lessons I shared last year. One of them is don't try to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. Spend your time with those who want to grow. One of the things I talk about in Forward Together is that we often say we spend 80% of our time on 20% of our people. And the big challenge I have is you should spend 80% of your time on 80% of your people, the people who want to grow, that, want to get better. And it's not like the 20%, they could be going through something, whatever. I don't want to discount them. You're going to still give them some time, right? You don't just ignore them. But my belief is a lot of times we actually ignore overachievers. We ignore people who want to excel. And they often can get worse because of it, or they could leave. And if you put your effort and energy into them that they deserve, what often happens is they make other people better too. So that's something that, I really talked about in the book. And I just love that it was a lesson I shared last year before the book even came to fruition. The next one I wanted to share is the crowd is not always correct. Stick to your principles and you will always know you did what you believed was right. In the email, it's kind of interesting. I shared the idea of principles several times. And the idea of that, the book Forward Together is shaped by what I call the principles and the perspectives. The principles are like the things that you need to hold on to and really try to live your life by in how you are actually leading change, how you're bringing people together. And the second part is the perspectives. The perspectives are like, when things go wrong, how do I make them right? Because your principles are most important to maintain when they are hardest to do. And I think that the reason I say about the crowd is sometimes you see a bunch of people thinking a certain way and, kind of get steam and whatever. And it doesn't mean they're wrong. It actually doesn't mean you're right. But really, what are your principles? Are you just kind of going with the crowd, or are you doing what you truly believe is right? Because there's a lot of times the crowd has been wrong. And that's something you got to think about in different aspects of your life. And like, maybe write in the comments, when has the crowd been wrong and you stuck to what you believed? And, eventually you felt comfortable because you did the right thing, even when it was really hard to do so. So that one is really important to me. And then the third one I shared that I just kind of highlighted from the 50 is, don't dwell in criticism or get caught up in praise. Learn to judge your own performance better than others can. If your standard is higher than what others expect, you will always grow. This is like a very vulnerable, honest thing I want to share with you. When I wrote Innovators Mindset, I was so extremely proud of that book. And I am still very proud of that book. I think a lot of people still read it. It's always in the top 50 and top 100 of education and administration books, even though it's a decade old. And the goal of the book was to really write something on innovation that was timeless, right? So not really focus on new stuff, but really what is the mentality, what's that mindset, for lack of a better term, that no matter what comes our way, we'll always be able to figure it out. And it has got such critical acclaim that there's a nervousness that I would never able to write anything even close to it. And the thing is, Forward Together, I am so extremely proud of that book. And some of the feedback that I've gotten on it, it is probably the best book that I've written personally. Now, I've only wrote 2 on my own. So, I knew they were comparing it to the Innovators Mindset. And there's a little part of me that I would take both of those books, and I'm very proud of both of them. And depending on my mood, I might say Innovators Mindset is my favorite that I've ever written. And depending on my mood, Forward Together might be the thing. But I know that in education, books, there's so many books out there. And I don't know if there was as many at the time Innovators Mindset came out. And so the success of it sold so many copies. I don't really ever believe Forward Together will sell as many copies as Innovators Mindset, even though I really stand by the work and I'm proud of it. But I don't want to measure it by how many books it sells. I don't want to measure it by reviews and comments on that. I want to measure it based on my own pride. Like, is this something, it's something that I really believe in? I think that it can really connect with people, and it's written in my voice. And I've gotten better at that, because a lot of times you just kind of look at the reviews, you look at like, what are the sales? What is this too? At the end of the day, I just want to be proud of it. I would rather write something that I'm very proud of that doesn't sell than something I write to appease a crowd that I know will sell, but I'm actually bothered by it. You really have to kind of hold your own standards and like, what are you aspiring to? And eventually, if you keep doing that, you'll find success. It might not look like what other people deem as success, but I think that's a life well lived. So those are just kind of 3 lessons that I saw that really, helped me reflect on the end of the year. So the one extra lesson, and you can read this, I'll post these on my blog, that I wanted to share that I didn't have this year, is this: do not wait for opportunity to come to you. Try to kick down some doors before they open. I really thought about this last year. I've, as a speaker, as an author, one of the best ways to that your message spreads is word of mouth. Someone reads it, they love the book. Someone sees you speak, they say you should come to this event. And that's something that I really believe. But this last year, because I believe so much in what I'm trying to accomplish, I haven't been waiting for word of mouth. I've been going to people. I've been reaching out to people. I've reached out to people that I know will probably never respond to me. And I think, and if I was to give you like a number, probably, let's say 50 emails to people who I think will never respond to me. Sometimes I get one response back, and I'm so excited about it, because 1 out of 50 is way better than 0 out of 0. And that's kind of a weird way to look at it, but that's reality. That if that one person who responds to me because I reached out to them, they would have never reached out to me if I didn't do it in the first place. And I'm trying to kick down some of those doors. And I remember actually a group, and I won't say who it is, but I, I, I felt the book would be so perfect for what they were going through, what they were doing. So I actually connected with the person who runs the conference, and I said, "Hey, I know this is something that's going on. I'm just wondering if you consider me for a keynote." And I've actually written a description of my new book and tailored it to the conference. And so, if you're considering people for keynotes, I just wanted to throw my name in there because I think that this is something that I could really help your organization with. And she said to me, "Listen, this is really good, but they take a long time to make decisions. And we can put it out there. I can give it to the committee, and we'll see. But no promise at all." I said, "Listen, I just wanted to give it, just put my name in the hat because it's something important to me." And basically, within a couple hours of that, she said they want to book you a keynote immediately because they loved so much what I shared. And I do have a reputation for speaking, and that I'm sure that helped. But that would have never come to fruition unless I kicked down the door. We often look at opportunity like, hey, when opportunity knocks. But the thing is, sometimes you don't wait for it to knock; you kick down the door. And I've been mentoring a lot of people that are speaking in educational leadership, speaking and or in educational leadership. And the one thing that I'm telling them is like, listen, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not waiting for someone to contact me. I'm not waiting. I'm going to start reaching out to people and really trying to get the message out there that I am trying to hopefully inspire. Because I desperately want to be the person who brings people together, who is, hey, in a time of divisiveness, this is a guy who really is trying to build community, is trying to bring people together, even though they might not think the same things, even though they have very different belief systems. And that's something that matters to me. And so I wanted to share with you because I know that somebody's listening to this right now and you're waiting for that opportunity to come to you. And that's, it might, but it might not. I promise you that if you start, knocking on some doors, you're not going to get the responses that you want, but you'll get responses that you weren't going to get if you didn't do it in the first place. So start knocking on those doors, kicking them down if you have to, and reach out to people. Don't wait for opportunity to find you. Go find it yourself. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Little birthday reflection about the past year, but I encourage you. I did post this on my blog, and you'll be able to see it. It might actually be up today because I'm going to post this right around my birthday, but I just want to share that with you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. If you are at the end of this, please like this on YouTube. Please share it. This is me knocking on the door. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, no one reviews my podcast ever, so I'd love to hear a review as a little birthday gift to me. I'm asking, I guess, but all that support really means a lot to me, and that you're here to the end of this, it really means a lot. Thank you so much for all you do. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.